What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Descent Devlog. In today's update, we've made it easier to add new rooms to the game. Let's kick things off with the front end. In making it easier to add new rooms to the game world, I was able to add 2 new rooms, effectively doubling the game world. I know, how can you get a better update than doubling the game world? We don't know. If I bring over the v0.1.2.0 prototype and we play through the first few rooms, you step out into a snowy clearing in a dense forest. You hear the western winds howling. You can see a mossy stone gate. What will you do next? If we enter the gate command, we will step forward into a new room. You heave the stone gate aside and climb underground. It slams shut behind you. You're standing in a cramped wooden parlor. The floor is cluttered with overturned chairs and tables. You can see a wooden door and a stone gate. What will you do next? Okay, so in v0.1.1, once you reach this room, you're pretty much stuck. If you enter the gate command to try to step backwards and leave through the gate, we get this message: you heave at the stone gate, but it won't budge. Right, and you're still standing in the same room. And then if you try to use the door, you get this ominous message: the door is firmly locked. You can't hear anything but wind beating against the gate. Are you going to die out here? And this is really it. This is all you can do. If we enter help, you'll see that our options are to try the gate, to try the door, or to exit the game. And that is as far as you can get in v0.1.0. All right, so here we are in the v0.2.0 prototype, and you can see here that the first room hasn't changed. If I move through the gate, at first glance, it looks like nothing has changed. You can see a wooden door and a stone gate. If we try the gate, we still get the message: you heave at the stone gate, but it won't budge. However, if you try the door this time, there's something new. The door is firmly locked. You can't hear anything but wind beating against the gate. Are you going to die out here? After some time, you notice a strange patch on the wall. It looks different than the area around it. Okay, and then when we reprint the room's description to the screen below, it does not call out the wall option, but trying the door leads you to the wall option. Also, if you enter the help command in this room, you see that we have the option to try the gate, the door, or the wall. So now I'll step to the wall. I'll enter the wall command. You find your grip at the seam of this strange patch of wall and press hard. A hidden door gives way. You step through the door. Epic, a hidden doorway. You're standing in a cold stone hallway. You can see a wooden door with a giant painted on it at one end. You can see a strange looking wall at the other. So we're standing in a hallway. The strange wall is presumably behind us. A wooden door is ahead. If we use help, you see that the wall and the door are only options. If I use the wall command, I step back into the cramped wooden parlor, and from here I can enter wall again to step forward into the hallway. So we have a connection from the parlor to this hallway. And now if we try the door with the giant painted on it, we get the response: you push the door open and step through it. Only, apparently without the word V, there's a typo to fix in the next patch. The room description says, you're standing in a warm and brightly lit den. You see ample food on the shelves and plenty of places to rest. You can see a wooden door with a giant painted on it. There is no one else here. All right, and that's really it. If we enter the help command, we can step back through the door into the hallway. Here it says you press open the door and step through it. No typo in this case. We can type door back and forth. We can step back and forth from the den to the hallway. And this is our 4th room. I wanted to add a room that feels like it could be a community space, because I plan to experiment with connecting clients together to create an online persistent game world. And so the den might represent a central location for players to connect and chat in the future. All right, let's now jump into the back end. So Descent has had pretty much an overhaul, so I will step through all of the source code. So we still have a main function that's calling an intro, it's starting the game, and calling an outro. We still have a really similar intro and outro, but now I've added on to the helper functions that are printing to the screen. A lot of the changes in this update basically boil down to either functionalizing logic that was inside the game loop, or to moving information about the game world out of a nest of if-then statements and into data structures that will make it easier to add new content to the game. We have a new function for printing help text to the screen, and it's no longer enumerating every possibility by hand. We're now intelligently making use of a new reference to a location that's not a string, but is a room type that we can tap into to understand what exits are available to the player. We have an exit scene printing function. And now we have two new game objects. These are really, they're not truly objects. These are structs, and we can use them to more easily define and access information about rooms and their exits. So in the case of a room, all we're keeping track of is the room's name, a description to be printed when you enter the room, and a list of exits from that room into other rooms. And then for an exit, all I'm tracking right now is where the exit leads to and a description that we print when you're transitioning from one room to the next. And we make use of these new structs for the first time in the init function. This is a function to initialize the game world. We have a new mapping of strings representing a room to that room's struct. We have another map of exits representing that particular exit to an exit struct. And this pair of hash maps allows us to quickly reference a particular room or exit from inside the game. And yeah, next up we actually have the room definition. So these are the 4 rooms that I demonstrated earlier, and it's still pretty unwieldy. We could do much better by kicking all of this game content out to files and reading the files in. That would be a better approach for this, but this is still a step forward. We add each of the rooms to the hash map, and now we define all of our exits. As you can see, this is going to grow to be huge over time. We add all of these exits to the hash map, and note that each exit gets one insert and each room gets one insert into their respective map. This is a case where it is apparent that this could be functionalized and simplified. But for now, this is how we're doing it in the init function, returning that. And we have a new helper function, set the scene. So this is just taking in the location, a reference to a room struct, and printing the description with the line breaks surrounding it. We have a function for getting the player action. So this takes in the mutable action string, and it prompts the player to take an action, and then it returns that action. Really, it mutates the string to contain the player's action. And now we reach the start function, where the game loop is actually located. And if I scroll, is this once again? Yeah, this is the end of the file. And now the start function is much more simple, a lot easier to read. So we initialize the game world by defining rooms and exits, getting those from the init function. We have location, again, as our game state to represent the player's location. Now no longer a string, but a room struct type. We have the player action still being represented by a string. We have this exit action taken, Boolean. You'll see where this comes into play. And we have the game loop. The game loop is greatly simplified. So we kick things off by setting the scene for the current location where the player's at. We get the player's next action, and then the most involved logic that I still haven't taken out of the game loop directly is checking whether the player has given a valid exit action. So we are looping over all of the exits possible in this room and comparing the player's action with that particular exit. And I like doing things this way, at least for now, because I don't have to keep a list of all possible exits and then compare with rooms per se. Rather, I can have a dynamically changing selection of exits for the player to take based on the room that they're currently standing in, and I only have to search across the exits that are available in that room, and I don't even have to search across rooms. So this is a pretty okay way of doing things to start. Inside this, so if we actually encounter an action command, we set this boolean to true. That's going to skip. Later we have logic to handle actions that are not exiting. So we set this to true to avoid the next step. We're going to get the scene description and pass it to this exit scene function that's going to print that scene to the terminal. And then if there's actually a place that we're going to step to, if this exit is actually going to take us into a new room, we update the player's location. And that's it. If the player did not enter an exit action, then we have this greatly simplified match. This is much cleaner looking than it was before, where we have the exit command that will take us out of the game loop and into the outro. We also have the help command that prints our help text given the location, which is a nice improvement. And finally, if we get some garbage command, we'll print the command not recognized message. And at the end of the loop, we clear the string representing the player's action. We reset the exit action taken Boolean value, and then we print a new line to separate one action and response from the next. And that is it. That is everything that's changed in the v0.2.0 prototype. Thank you so much for watching today's devlog. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and to subscribe for more Descent content. Until next time, this is Christian signing off.